Mr. Speaker, I rise this morning to inform this House of the Royal Bermuda Regiment's involvement with exercise trade winds. This exercise is organized by the United States military, specifically the U.S. Southern Command, who are based in Florida. Trade winds is a Caribbean-focused training exercise designed to help participants better respond to natural disasters, land and maritime threats. The trade winds event takes place in two phases. Phase 1 is a security-based exercise, and Phase 2 is a humanitarian assistance, disaster recovery, which is also referred as HADA. I was accompanied by the Bermuda Regiment's commanding officer, Lieutenant Colonel David Curley, and the Bermuda Regiment's Sergeant Major, Jason Harrow. Together, we visited the opening ceremony at Las Cadetas Naval Base in the Dominican Republic. We also visited the opening ceremonies, which included high-level briefs by SOFCOM planners, organizers, and lead staff. Mr. Speaker, during the opening ceremony, the Bermuda Regiment stood proudly against Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, Barbados, Belize, Canada, Colombia, Dominica, the Dominican Republic, France, Grenada, Guyana, Haiti, Jamaica, Mexico, Netherlands, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Trinidad, and Tobago. The United Kingdom and the United States were also addressed by senior commanders from the Dominican Republic and the U.S. SOFCOMs in an opening address. After the opening remarks, all troops were on their way to conduct their rehearsals and equipment checks in order to prepare for the final test exercises in Las Cadetas areas. The Bermuda team were guests of SOFCOMs and were given a dedicated briefs by the SOFCOM commanders, planners, and the exercise lead members. Once the briefs were wrapped up, we went to visit the Royal Bermuda Regiment staff in the different locations. Captain Gordon Emerson and Color Sergeant Curtis Grant were using the explosive ordnance disposal charges and working with the 24 Commando with tactics and operational plans. Major Beasley and Sergeant Major Matively received a joint task force training in circuit military cooperatives in order to support the test exercise at the end of the training phase. Sergeant Muhammad worked with the other national medics and received teaching training. Mr. Speaker, we were giving a two-day tour of Las Cadetas, and we were invited on a U.S. Coast Guard cutter, a Canadian patrol ship, and we were given full briefings from both ships' captains. We were given a full tour of SOFCOM logistics and saw special field kitchens established capable of feeding 600 troops in an hour, and saw the resupply of kit and equipment being used in this phase of the exercise. Follow-up briefings commenced with Trade Winds Phase 2, which will be held in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where the Royal Bermuda Regiment will be the largest force participating in humanitarian aid and disaster relief and security operations, being tasked from a Caribbean task force. At the same time, the entire camp was buzzing with troops loading onto Black Hawk helicopters, a small flight into the ocean where they hovered over a few meters and then were deployed Naval Marines and Special Forces units into the water. It was a very impressive sight to see. I will attend Phase 2, which will be held in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, along with the Ministry of National Security's Permanent Secretary, Mr. Colin Anderson. Phase 2 will test the Royal Bermuda Regiment in all aspects of training and operations, and will strengthen our portfolio with all respects of HADA, which is crisis management at all levels. There will be a closing ceremony that will end Trade Winds Week 19, and then the Bermuda Regiment troops will fly back to Bermuda to enjoy a few days off before attending the war camp for training again. Mr. Speaker, exercise Trade Winds Phase 1 and Phase 2 is vital training and is a testing process for the Royal Bermuda Regiment, which has SOFCOM credentials. The Bermuda Regiment will continue building in order to reinforce and maintain top levels and a new improvement to HADA crisis response to Bermuda and to the rest of the Caribbean if needed. The work of the Royal Bermuda Regiment is important, and I believe they are receiving adequate training to defend our shores. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.